Hi everyone, it's Georgia down in Australia, and today I am sharing an Easter themed page that I'm going to create for my April 2022 virtual faith art retreat. A lot can happen in a week. Now, this retreat is running through the whole of Holy Week, and there will be a few new tutorials and a couple of flashbacks that I will bring in simply because I am incredibly busy running this retreat plus the creative event project at the same time, on top of all my personal things. So I actually have an old page that I've pulled out that I want to show you just to give you an idea of the kind of look that I'm going for. And I know there's a lot of lace all over the page because this is a page that has ended up with a whole lot of secret journaling down in the margin. And as you know, I don't share my secret journaling because it is not written for social media. But what I wanted to show you was just this crown of thorns that I have drawn on the page here. Now, this is kind of the sort of look that I'm going for. Now, this particular page I drew and then colored with my Inktense pencils. And even though I'm tempted to do the same thing because it does work out really, really nicely, I'm half thinking I might actually end up using acrylic paint. I'm going to do a double page spread, and hopefully you all have, I'm really sorry if this is going to be very difficult. I actually had a bit of trouble, and I have pulled out my original journaling Bible, and I'm really surprised that I had these pages empty and unjournaled, because the Easter pages tend to be, along with the Easter pages and the Christmas pages, tend to be journaled so often that it's very difficult to find space. So I'm really surprised that I have all of this in mark, because what I want is, I really wanted a page that has the crucifixion, the death of Jesus on one side, and then the resurrection on the other page, because what I plan to do is draw a really big crown of thorns that goes across both pages. But on the death of Jesus page, I'm going to keep it as your traditional crown of thorns with the brown colors and the spots of red. I might do some red spattering around the page, not too much. I'm not trying to go, completely gruesome. I got into a bit of trouble last year when one of my journal pages just went a little bit too far, and some people did not appreciate it, but I was speaking truth at the time. But I wanted to do that on one side, and then I wanted to sort of blend out into sort of going into more greens, maybe some golden, and have some flowers painted around it. So I think you can probably imagine, just like I can in my head, what I plan to do. Whether or not it works out, well, that is yet to be seen. Now, being the original Bible, it has a lot of stuff going on behind both sides. It's very dimensionally, very lumpy bumpy, because, especially on this side, I have, oh my goodness, I have these dimensional foam alphabet stickers. As you can see, there's stuff sticking out here, so there's all sorts of things stuck on the pages. So I'm going to start by putting some plastic sheeting underneath each of the pages, just so that I have a little bit more of a solid surface to work on. Okay, without overthinking too much, because I tend to overthink, and then when I do, things just don't work out because I get all nervous. I'm going to start off just by doing a rough sort of oval shape that goes across both pages. So I'm going, this is my rough shape, right? Don't be too concerned if it's not perfect, because we are going to be adding bits to it and layers, and it will eventually, it will come together. So it's a bit of a scribbled shape right now, but it just gives me an idea of, this is the kind of shape I want, and this is the amount of space I want to take. So I want to take most of the space. As you probably know, a lot of the time when I'm doing these pages, I will white gesso over the writing, and then I will mask off my focus first and only keep that. But this time I'm actually leaving all the writing. I want the story to still be there in the background, So obviously some of the words will be covered by my colouring, but I want, you know, all the text to still be there so you can still read and see what's going on behind the drawing rather than having it all blocked out and the page being just about the art. So what I'm doing now, and this is probably the most time consuming part, I'm going to start, just pick a random spot, and on that random spot just do a little bit of a curve going over and underneath the little, or the rough guide that you've given yourself. Okay, so that's a start. Then I stop here and I pick up another strand and just do another little curve here. Now decide whether you want 2, 3, 4, I don't know what you call the, you know, the strands of your crown of thorns. I'm going to have 3. So I'm starting off just with the 2. So this one that I have here, the second one, I'm bringing it underneath the first one that I drew and then going up here. So I'm using that original oval that I drew as kind of a guideline, and then I'm drawing these 2 intertwining, I can't call them vines, I don't know what you call them, but the intertwining bits. So once I've got the little bits, I've got 2, I'm going to add my third one, and so I'm sort of going to have it coming out, bring it here, so think it's behind in the background there, and it's going to come out there, cross over. So as you go along, just keep tabs on where each of your 2 or 3 intertwining elements are and follow them through so that you can actually follow them and it makes sense, so you don't have like little bits that appear out of nowhere. So if you do it that way, then it looks more realistic. Unless of course you're going for a more abstract look, then you could just add bits and pieces wherever you like. It's up to you how you like it. I kind of like to have it kind of realistic. So some go over, some go under, but they all end up following that rough pattern that I drew. I'm just going back up to the top now, and I'm going to that place where I'm crossing over to the next page, and my brain is ticking while this goes on, because I'm wondering if I actually want to keep doing this same pattern. Oh, I might tip that over. I have oh dear, I have a page marker or a book marker on the other side, so I'm keeping that open because it's causing troubles. It gets a bit tricky when you get stuck into this spine area. And I'm sort of thinking, yeah, I'm going to stop just once I cross over the page. I'm going to have just a tiny bit of this intertwining branches, enough so that I can use my colors to change the color of them. And then I'll stop because I'm going to get them to sort of fade out of being these sort of dead branches with thorns, and they're going to become green vines with the flowers. So I'm going to kind of stop there, and that's the point where they're going to blend out. Okay, so that's my rough drawing, and keeping it like this for now. I'm going to rub out some of the extra scribbles around this shape here. I'll just keep it very, very light so I can still see it. And then I'm just going to come back to this side and just draw in the actual thorns. So I'm just randomly here and there, just with 2 straight lines, just doing like spikes coming out. Sometimes a single, sometimes double. And of course you can always change your mind as once you're colouring, you might go, no, this doesn't look right. Once the colour goes on it, you can move them around. Okay, so I think that will do for now, and I'll see how it goes once the colour's on there. I might add some more, I might leave it, I'm not sure. Okay, so now I'm ready to start painting. Okay, I'm ready to paint now. I've just grabbed my little plastic palette and I am pulling out a few different shades of brown. And I don't need very much, just a few drops really, because it's only a very fine design. I am yet to find the perfect brown that I'm happy with. Can't seem to find anything I really like. But I'll use a mixture of what I have. So I've got a very dark brown there, which is actually distressed ground espresso. I have a combination of distress paints and acrylic paints, and there's no reason for that other than I'm just grabbing what I have in the colors that I need. And I might get a little bit of red on the side in case I want to put a bit of red on the edge of the thorns while I'm painting now. I don't know if I'll do it now or if I will paint it later, but I just like to have everything on hand and ready. Okay, and it's now just a matter of just starting once again at a random spot, and I'm using a very thin brush. I'm going to take off the jangly actually because it's getting in the way. So I'm using a very thin brush because this is quite a fine design, and just starting with one of those branches. I've put some dark brown and now I'm blending in a little bit of the lighter brown. Put this here where we can see it. So this little beginning bit is really just an experimental one where I decide which colours I like, and when I see what's working then I'll sort of follow that through with the others. So I'm working on a piece that's underneath a longer area, so the parts where it sort of comes out from the underneath parts, if that makes sense, I'm sort of making darker to sort of have like shadow. So it's kind of, you know, having little bits of highlights and shadows as you go, just to make it kind of realistic. So it is quite a long process. Take your time with it, you don't want to rush it. And you might be nervous when you start, but as you keep going, you'll sort of get a bit of a hang of it, and you'll see what colours you like or what shades you like, and you just continue those. I am going to, once I'm done, I'm going to outline it with thin black marker, I think, so that will give it a little bit more definition as well. And you just continue and go around until you've coloured all of them. Now when you get to the point of painting the actual thorns, I'm going to do them a sort of a medium brown, a little bit of dark down the bottom, And then it's up to you whether or not you want to put a bit of red on them. I'm not going to go over the top. Once again, I'm not going for, you know, a gruesome look, but I am going for a bit of realism. And I might just, not too much, but here and there, I am going to put a little bit of red on the actual intertwined branches. Again, not too much, but just for some realism. And as I am coming across to this second page, this is where I said I was going to kind of blend this crown of thorns design into a green vine with flowers. So I'm going to just quickly grab my eraser, because there's a little bit too much of pencil marking here. So very carefully get rid of that. And I'll put some greens onto my palette now. I haven't quite thought this one through. I'm not sure exactly what I plan to do here. I am making it up as I go. Surprise, surprise. So I've just got a couple of greens. Bit of yellow maybe. Darker green. Whoops. And I think what I'll do is start at the top here. I have these little brown bits coming across, and I will lighten them a little bit and then put in some of the dark green, and then the brighter green. And now I'm just sort of doing some kind of swirly little designs. Maybe put some little leaves on there. I might leave that till last actually, because once I've got the flowers, then I will add the leaves onto the vines. And I think also what I'll do is I won't paint the entire vines just yet, because I'm going to have flowers on it, and I don't want to be mucking around trying to paint flowers on top of the vines that, you know, the green might show through the colours of the flowers, because I'm not sure what colours I'm going to do yet. So I think I'll be better off painting the flowers first and then adding the rest of the vines in the background. Now I'm going to pick out some colours. Well, I think we'll go with some really Eastery colours. So a nice bright orange. And I already have some yellow, but I'll just add a little bit more. Yellow and orange. And I might bring in some little blue ones as well. Well, this is ocean coloured, so it's kind of a greeny blue. But mainly going to stick with the orange and yellow flowers, I think, at this point. So without thinking too much, I'm just going in and just doing little petals. Then I'm painting in orange. So I'm not going for perfection here, I'm just doing rough little sort of doodle scribble flowers. And I'm keeping the majority of them in this same orange colour. I don't really have a plan, but it will happen. I'm just going to go and give that a second layer because it's a little bit too translucent. And I'm brightening that up with a little bit of yellow. And now I'm going to put some yellow, sort of dabbing my brush to make it kind of scrunchy and uneven in the center for the little pollen bits in the middle. And I might grab the tiniest bit of red. I'm just putting some little dabbed on white highlights here and there. Okay, and now I'll finish those green vines. I'm just doing little swirly lines all the way around. You could do this with a marker if you wanted to, if you don't have a really thin paintbrush, or if you're not confident doing thin lines with a paintbrush. If you have a green marker or pencil even, you might be doing this entire thing in pencil. I did think about it because doing this in coloured pencil does give you a lot more control. But what I really wanted the flowers to be painted, so that was my decider. And I'm just going to paint some little leaves here and there. And I'm adding lots of little yellow highlights here and there just to brighten it, because this is the really bright side of the page. So just tiny bits of yellow along that green just makes it look like there's light shining on there. Okay, I might need just a little bit more of the vines, simply because since I had 3 of the branches here, I kind of want not just a single green vine, I want multiples. Don't know if I'm making sense today. I want multiple green vines, so there's 3 of them here. I've turned into 3 green ones there, at least at the beginning of the image. Otherwise it just looks a little bit strange. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So having dried the paint, I can now rub out the bits of lead pencil that I can see here and there before I paint on my other little flowers. I'm going to use that blue paint that I put on my palette. Once again, have not really thought this through. I'm just going to do some little kind of dot painting flowers. So they're like little clusters of, I don't know, nothing in particular. I'm not clever enough with flowers to be able to tell you this is such and such a flower. So these are little clusters of blue just to put some more colour onto the page. They could be anything. Now you don't have to do this sort of thing. You could do more petal flowers if you wanted to. You might do nothing at all. You might be quite happy with your page just with one coloured flower on it. You might have done all these in completely different colours, like multicoloured flowers. I need to make these bigger. But I do like that. That's giving it a little bit more colour. I think it was just it was looking a little bit empty with just the orange flowers. So you don't need to paint things in any particular shape. Sometimes just doing little dots and sort of faded out scribbles in the background sort of gives the impression of, you know, flowers in the distance, sort of a little bit out of focus. Maybe one just up here. I want to do a little bit of outlining. So I have grabbed my absolute thinnest black micron. Okay, so with apologies, I had another issue with the iPad memory, and I thought I was filming the part where I outlined this part of my page with a very thin black micron, but it seems I was not filming at all. So I'm really sorry about that, but this is basically what I did. I grabbed the thinnest of my black microns. This is a 005 size, and I just outlined all of this section of the crown of thorns. I did it as a bit of a scribble outline rather than a very precise outline because I didn't want it to be too stark. So you can see some areas there's little scribbly bits with the white showing around it, and I quite like that. So that is that part. Now with the flowers, I'm not going to outline them in black because I think that would be too harsh. So I am going to grab my white gel pen, and hopefully this will work. I'm just outlining them with my white gel, again with a bit of a scribbly look rather than a precise outline. And that tends to give them a little bit more dimension, I guess you would say, because the way they are like this, they look a little bit cartoony almost. But you go through and do a scribbly sort of outline and scribble over the top of the petals with a different colour, in this case with white, and it just brings them to life a little bit. I might then grab some different colours. A bit of an orangey, I'm sort of doing a swirly circle around the centre of the flowers. Yeah, I might use some green to outline a little bit of, not all the vines I don't think, but just the part where it makes that transition from being the brown to the green. Just giving it a little bit of definition there. Going around some of the leaves. And I'll leave it like this. Now, two more things I want to do. First of all, I want to do just a little bit of spattering paper to protect this side. And then I've just ripped up some paper towel, and I'm using that to cover some of the crown of thorns because I don't want my spat to go all over my drawing. I'll use washi tape to hold that down. We'll have the bonus of covering this part as well. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of red paint, and with a very wet brush, pick up some of that paint and just tap my brush over the top of another paintbrush just to put a little bit of spatter on my page. Now I don't want to go over the top here, so I think that's enough. Now on the other side of the page, I'll protect this one, and I might actually leave the flowers this time. I won't cover them. I'm going to get some yellow paint. And once again, very wet paintbrush. Pick up that yellow. And I'm going to spatter yellow all over the page. So I have a continuity of pattern, but I've gone from what is basically the horror of Good Friday to the joy and light of Easter with my yellow. I might put some gold in there actually. Gold might stand out a bit better because I'm seeing that the yellow is becoming a little bit wishy-washy. See what happens with gold. Okay, so I'm not really worried about the mess down here because, well, there's this is the end of Mark's Gospel, and so it all ends here. There is this blank space at the bottom of the page, and it's saying, hey, look, focus verse opportunity, yay. So I was wondering, what I was going to write as my focus verse here on this particular page, because there are so many things I could write. Yeah, and I could have picked a line out of these two chapters from Mark's Gospel. I could have picked a line from another Gospel. I could have written anything. I could have written one of those, I'm not saying this sarcastically, but maybe I am, one of those Easter platitudes that we throw around and don't actually think about what they actually mean. There's stuff going on. There is stuff going on at the moment. Wow. But so I had, I did not know what I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to write something here, but I had no idea. And yesterday I'm sitting here in my panic room at my desk working on something completely different while I was waiting for this to dry. This was sitting on the floor next to me, and I was doing something completely different. And I sort of turned around and I saw it on the floor, and I sat here. I cannot tell you, well, I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to tell you how long I sat here just staring at this page. And there's a lot of thinking going on at the moment about a whole lot of different things. Some of them are going to come up during this retreat. I'm sure some of them have already come up during the Creative Lent project. But I was just looking at this picture and kind of stunned in a way, because this is not the Bible page that I was meaning to journal when I first started thinking of this retreat. I had something else in mind. This is totally not where I was going with it. And then once I started it, I had this rough idea, but did not really know. This is basically one of those pages that I'm never in control, but I was definitely not in control of this one. And which is quite surprising, because normally I can't get into that zone when I am filming and talking and chatting away. So I'm just, I'm looking at this page and thinking of all the implications from what I have done here, with the cruelty of the crown of thorns turning into the beauty of flowers. And I'll say my flowers are beautiful. I know they're not. They're a little bit messy, but I think I think you can see the metaphor that I'm getting at here. And this line came into my head. I thought, we have the line that we say about, about bad situations, or people we want to say something bad about, or people we don't like, and we say everything they touch turns to bleh. I kind of had this opposite thought, and I thought everything he touches turns to beauty. And it kind of led me down this line of thinking of this picture just being a metaphor of Jesus taking everything that is bad and evil and hurtful and horrible and painful about the world, and transforming it, and him transforming us, and on a personal level, him transforming me, and him taking my pain and turning it into something amazing. And so I sort of started thinking along that line and thinking, okay, well, what am I going to write here? And then, well, I always say you had me at Isaiah. I have not been to this line in a long time, which is surprising because it is one of my favorite verses it's one of my favorite verses in the Bible. It is so full of Jesus is coming, and it is definitely one of my, probably top. I was going to say top 10 from the book of Isaiah, because I have so many favorite lines. So I am going to write here Isaiah 43:19. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Just wow. So that's going to be my line right now. Now I'm going to shut up and I'm going to write. And when that's dry, rub out all the pencil marks. My handwriting is a little bit shaky and wobbly because there's so much behind this page that even with the plastic sheet, it was just really hard to write on. But that's okay. As always, I don't go for perfection. Okay, so very often I would draw a border around my page, but I'm not going to do that today because with this kind of open design, I think a border would look very strange. The only thing I might do is add the date. So we are in April. I think I'll do it over here so that that kind of symmetry almost. So April 2022 retreat. A lot can happen in a week. Okay, and that's it. That is as much as I'm going to do on this page. So our Bible journaling page 4, my April 2022 virtual faith art retreat. A lot can happen in a week. If you have joined the retreat, either now in real time or later at some point when you happen to find this video, the retreat link along with all my other social links will be down below in the description. And if you create a page like this, I would love to see it. So please come along to the retreat or to any of my other social places and share your page so I can have a look, because I always love to see your beautiful artwork. So that's it for me. If you do the thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all those things down below, that would be awesome. So thank you again very much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.